hit in the mouth. It needs to be taught respect. That smart mouth that looks bad now is the one that makes them challenge things that are wrong later in life. Are they going to lay down and let things happen to themselves because it was beat out of them, or are they going to stand up for what's right? That's really the difference. And you will create a passive kid who would have been assertive normally because you beat it out of him. And he didn't know how to do this. Is a statistic now. I'm speaking, this is a fact. Psychologically, that's what it does to a child. It makes them passive. So they bow to authority every time. Whether it's right or wrong, they always will do it. Why? Because you beat it out of them. You told them that having an independent thought was not an option. So unless you go back and I don't know how you could after you hit them, what do you think they're going to do? Not do it again. But they won't just not do it to you. They're not going to do it to nobody.
I know you said statistically, but I was wired completely the opposite. It made me want to do it even more. I wanted to defy. When somebody whipped me, I was upset that I was embarrassed, especially if it was in front of somebody.
Right.
You know, and I didn't cower, I didn't hunker down, I didn't become an introvert, as you can see. I'm very external, and I voice those things very freely because it almost created a sense of not rebellion. Well, it did create a sense of rebellion in my.
But it did the exact same thing in me because I had all that. Happened to me too, and it did the exact same thing. Say it again.
I tried to beat it out of him too. I mean,
you tried to get it, just couldn't hope.
I think the differences that happen is because your personality type is the one that's out there. You're going to defy. There are some children who are very naturally soft-hearted and passive. My two older children are like that. My two older children are like that. So for me to discipline them physically is going to make them clam up. It's going to make them go more and more into their shells. And so when they're around anybody, they're not going to stand up to anybody. And that's not something that I want. I want them to be able, if they can. I want them to be able to speak their mind, speak the truth always, and not be afraid of anybody, especially boys.
Well, because of the society usually, yeah.
Every child is different.
Yeah. Well, and then the idea, even with us understanding that, so we'll whoop them all still.
we didn't whip our own. He didn't need to. We just look at him. He would do what he was told. He was fine.
Oh, no.
We never had to whip him. Our daughter came along, she lied constantly, lied all the time. It was a little different. There was little whippings there and there.
Was her response different too with it?
Yeah.
I mean, did she think ever that you treated her worse because you never whipped the oldest or anything like that?
No, she never, no.
You guys had a conversation about that?
Excuse me?
Did you ever have a conversation like that?
With her?
Yeah.
Well, she's talked about how the discipline was when she grew up and things like that. Yes, we had
positive, negative?
Kind of both, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when Jeremy came along, it was totally different. He was very aggressive. He wanted to do what he wanted to do, and no matter what we said, it didn't matter. Whatever discipline you used, didn't matter. So spanking worked for a while. Then after a while, it didn't work.
Really? So what did you move to from that? What did you go to next
After spanking? After spanking?
Yes.
Dad, he was a little bit older and Dad was more involved. And when Dad was more involved, then it was different.
But Dad wasn't involved during the spanking time?
Not as much.
She beat him all the time.
Oh, really? Do you think that it would have been a difference had he been involved then?
That's
Yes.
the third time you guys.
And then the spankings wouldn't even been necessary?
No, they would have been, we should have.
Boy, Jeremy, you're just, man.
But for him, those things worked for him. And, and now he is very respectful to his parents. He's very good and caring with his wife. He takes care of his children and disciplines them accordingly, and his wife does also. So, I don't know, every child needs to be treated as them, as that person.
Okay. Bert?
I was like the judge. Okay, I had levels. All right, if I told you to do something and you mess around, didn't do it, then the whooping was a threat. Okay, I'm giving you a chance to do this. If you don't do it, eventually I'm gonna start whooping. Okay, and Hope can tell you, and the other girls here can tell you that when it came to the whooping time, it was a whooping. I wasn't playing around.
I
They
heard,
had opportunities to take care of the problem.
I heard
before
that you made up a song about whooping too.
Yeah, well, I used to sing a song.
It's cooking time. Oh, yeah.
So Vern, you used to just sing the song like before or after or what did you do?
Before. When the time came, because I said, no, I've asked y'all and asked y'all and asked y'all to take care of this problem, and you haven't done it yet. So I don't have no choice. I don't want to do this. And I started singing the song.
He starts to break out in the song.
And I had a special belt that I used. I kept that belt in the closet. When I got that belt out, they knew it was time.
Yeah, it was this wide.
Okay.
This wide.
If you hadn't guessed, that's Vern's daughter, Hope.
I never touched him. I didn't.
Yeah, that's his wife. She said she never touched him. Although I think I heard of a couple of the whoopings that she used to give.
Yeah, and
She would actually cry when she
did.
hurts me more than hurts you. Okay, well, that's all interesting. I wasn't even going to talk about any of that stuff, but I guess we must have needed to. All right. All right, when we talk about kids and we're raising little people to do things, and obviously just as much as your parents have affected who you are going to affect who your children are going to be. And they're going to grow up and learn certain things and do certain things and follow after things that they've seen you do because of the household that they grew up in. They're going to learn what things that are fair. What's that like? They're going to learn about equality. They're going to learn about discipline. And hopefully they'll learn all those lessons so the world doesn't have to teach them those lessons. The nuclear family emotional system is the first concept that I want to talk about, and this is where we all came from. Everybody has a family of origin, and whatever the breakdown or dividing line of that family was, everybody grew up with some type of a family. The concept of the nuclear family emotional system describes 4 basic relationship patterns that govern where problems develop in a family. People's attitudes and beliefs about relationships play a role in the patterns. But the forces primarily driving them are part of an emotional system. The patterns operate in intact single parent, step parent, and other nuclear family configurations. So it's just saying that this nuclear family emotional system is actually, and we're talking about levels of anxiety here. If a kid, a smart mouth kid we're talking about, actually raises anxiety in you, that makes you have to respond. Whatever you respond to raises anxiety into them, and everything is run on this emotional system where anxiety is increased, and then that makes something have to happen. When we think of those 5 things, clinical problems and symptoms usually develop during periods of heightened or prolonged family tension. That's the anxiety I was talking about. The level of tension depends on the stress the family encounters and how the family adapts to the stress, and on the family's connection with extended family and social networks. So there are outside influences that will also affect this family unit. Depending on the things that they do, the people that they see, the places that they go, they'll be affected by that as well. Tension increases the activity of one or more of the 4 relationship patterns where symptoms develop and depends on which patterns are most active. The higher the tension, the more chance that symptoms will be severe and that several people will be symptomatic. The first is marital conflict. As family tension increases and the spouses get more anxious, each spouse internalizes his or her anxiety into a marital relationship. Each focuses on what is wrong with the other. Each tries to control the other, and each resists the other's efforts at control. So this is a family dynamic. When we're talking about part of your nuclear family, we see this at play within the marital unit between the spouses. That as anxiety goes up or something that we don't like, let's say we're having financial problems. And one thinks that the solution is one way and the other thinks the solution is another way. So both are actually going to try to influence the one to do it their way. They're going to try to move their agenda ahead within the relationship. Now, that happens, and normally the children don't have anything to do with that, but they feel the stresses of the two going back and forth. And so what ends up happening is that you can not even be talking to the kids, but then they will hear certain things, maybe arguments or disagreements, and then they might begin to think, hey, are they getting divorced or whatever, but you can see how that would increase their tendencies.